Good evening once again. I'm here to read from The Snake Doctor. On the cover, as you can see, is our friend Bahati. The photo was taken by the inimitable Zola Salena, photog extraordinaire. And we're pleased to be able to say this evening in the studio, we welcome Russell and Tanya, who've flown in from out of town. I don't know if it was Germany or Phoenix. I think it was Phoenix. The chuckle you hear in the background comes from
yes,
town.
Okay, you can.
All this is part of it, so don't be
shy.
I'd like to make one brief announcement before we start the reading. For those who are going to the Miami Book Fair, which is November 16th to the 18th, the street fair is free on the first Friday, that's November 16th. On Saturday and Sunday, November the 17th and 18th, there will be a $10 admission charge for those 13 to 18 and a $5 charge for those over 62, and those under 12 will be free. It's happening at the Miami-Dade College Wilson campus, 300 Northeast 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida. Hopefully we'll be there. If not, go, have a good time.
Enjoy.
And let's get into this. For those who've been following the readings thus far, you will know that we're on chapter 7, and various things have happened. Hopefully, it'll be for the best. So, without, as my friend used to say, without further ado, let's get into this. This is chapter 7. Kojo has just received a letter from a girlfriend of his in Ghana named Grace, and she's letting him know that she was glad to see him when he came to Ghana, and they will try to hang on with each other as friends, even though they're no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. Dear Kojo, just a note, I know you're probably up to your neck with the projects, things to do. More power to you, brother. Ghana hasn't been the same since you left. I'm saying that for many reasons. The main one being the fact that I missed you a great deal. That may come as a big surprise from someone who is supposed to have an upper lip as stiff as mine. But remember that we agreed to be completely honest in our communication with each other. Onward. My office staff has shown a great appreciation for my presence since your departure. Smile. And life in Ghana here continues. I hope you had a pleasant trip back and that you'll remember to drop me a few lines whenever you have the time. Love, faithfully yours, Grace. P.S. Went to visit my auntie Eugenia and Chito last weekend, and she told me to remind you, be aware, to be careful. It all sounds rather mysterious to me. Kojo folded the letter in half, unfolded it, and stared at the gracefully slanting curves of Grace's handwriting. Dear, dear Grace. And then tore the letter into small pieces. We can communicate, but there's no need to keep the communications. The car was loaded with bare necessities, a few sandwiches, water, change of clothes, shoes. A lot of people trip off to Mexico like they're on safari through the Sahara. Whatever we don't have, we can buy en route. Kojo and Akosua are tripping down through Mexico. San Bernardino straight through the Imperial Valley, kicking off into Yuma, Arizona. Oh, Yuma, Arizona. Got a couple of people here from Arizona. All right.
Y'all like Arizona?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
It's hot and dry. It's a beautiful place.
Okay.
Tripping off through Yuma for the first leg, Arizona sprawled in front of them, a sun-struck city on an adobe platter. They were going to cross over into Nogales, Mexico from Nogales, Arizona. The air was blast furnace dry. The sky blue with flecks of clouds, the road clear for fast driving. I'm glad we left in the morning. The evening traffic makes me feel mentally ill at times. Yeah, I know the feeling. They travel without making unnecessary commentary. You know how you do it. You get into that groove, ain't nothing to say. Okay. A casual point is some unusual rock formation or full-fledged. Look at that! As a coyote chased a rabbit across the highway at twilight. Kojo, the first driver, announced, "Time to chill. We've done a good day's journey." Where in the world are we? This is a fantastic little place called Gila Bend. Gila Bend. The Gila Bend Motel was dusty, desert dusty, but clean, and they had showers in each cabin. Just put them in a week ago. Enjoy your stay, folks. They showered, changed clothes, and strolled out into the desert directly behind the motel. Kojo, no, you know this is the first time we've traveled together? What about that weekend in Morro Bay? Where we went to breakfast, back to bed, lunch, back to bed, dinner, back to bed, for a whole weekend? I guess you wouldn't call that real traveling, would you? The distant howl of a wolf, or was it a coyote, startled him. Akosua pressed a little closer to his side. You kind of forget that there's still wild things in the world. Why don't we go back to the motel? You scared? Not at all. I just feel the urge to tell you a bedtime story. The morning cool desert air whispered into the open windows of the car. Kojo didn't like air conditioning. It made him feel like he was living in an artificial environment. Akosua was driving, looking cool and glamorous behind her big black shades. A right turn at Tucson and south to Nogales. Tell me I don't know my Arizona.
It's Gila.
It's Gila?
Is that the way it is? Akosua was driving. Look at, they hadn't talked about Kojo's film idea or the outline for Akosua's next book. They just felt the urge to drift along at 65 miles per hour, gradually shaking off the frenzied tempo of the city that they had just left before. Kojo studied Akosua's aristocratic profile. Thank God I love this woman. It would really be a drag to have to marry someone you didn't love.
Yeah, that's true.
Nogales, straight ahead, and then the other side. Akosua thought dealt with the custom people in her academic Spanish. Okay, Senor Brown, we can drive into Mexico now. That didn't take long. A little honest corruption goes a long way. The mordida, the little bite, is supposed to be passé, but no one seemed to be willing to refuse a $20 gift. That gentleman over there, the one with the cigar and the pregnant-looking tummy, is a professional fixer. We have insurance coverage, which means practically nothing, visitors permits, and the whole enchilada. Vamos. I'm impressed, my lady. I'm impressed. Like I said, a little honest corruption goes a long way. The great Sonoran Desert opened up in front of them, Highway 15, hot, dry, and windless. Wow. Coming through Arizona is like heading into the mouth of the furnace. This is the furnace. You got that right. We'll have to go through here for a stretch before we get over to the ocean at Guaymas.
Is that hot?
It's that hot. Miles of sandy earth, relieved by splotches of desert blooms and other more unbelievable sights. Kojo, did you see those children? Where can they possibly be going out here? He stopped the car and backed up a couple of 100 yards. 4 boys and 3 girls, the oldest about 10 years old. The children stared at the couple in the car. Akosua asked them if they could give him a lift. She was certain that "Quieres ustedes un viaje?" conveyed the proper message, but their gestures were unmistakable. The children smiled shyly, and the oldest boy pointed his finger at a distant point and nodded. "No gracias." Kojo offered them small bottles of water, but they won't accept one. "Gracias," the spokesman said, and tipped the brim of his small sombrero. "De nada." Akosua responded that they slowly geared up again. Where do you think they were going? Where do you think they're coming from? That's the big question. The sea. I feel like an ancient explorer or something. Look at that beautiful water. Yeah, Guaymas, after all of that desert. They made Catch-22 down here. That mad think piece with that crazy guy. What was his name? Catch-22.
It's a military
Alan
movie.
Arkin.
You got
Alan
to
Arkin.
see it. It's a good movie.
Alan Arkin. Kojo drove up and down a few of the main streets to give Akosua a feel of the place. Hasn't changed much since I was here years ago. A little more touristy than it was. Let's hope they have a vacancy in Lamar. Number 102, Lamar. They showered in water that had been funneled from the ocean on the back patio. Now that's what I call a salty bath. Of course, should we dish for dinner? Well, of course. They had the Lamar dining room to themselves, dressed in their wrinkled but spotless white outfits. Huachinango a la veracruzana for 2, por favor. Si, senor. Kojo, I thought you couldn't speak Spanish. I know how to ask for fish in 3 or 4 languages. The large, firm flesh fish drizzled with succulently fried onions, pimentos, olives, and dill tasted as though it had been plucked out of the sea minutes before. I forgot what a fresh fish tastes like. Fresh red snapper, grilled bottles of Carta Blanca, chilled bottles of Carta Blanca. They strolled onto the pier in front of the hotel after dinner, raking in the sight of the precision diving pelicans, the far-flung twinkling of distant stars. He stood behind her, his arms circling her waist, nuzzling her neck. Of course, I love you. Do you know that? She made a slow, wordless turn, held his face in her hands, and kissed him.
Romantic. Oh.
I'm just playing on y'all ladies.
Keep reading.
Sentimental romantics. I know.
Tanya said keep reading.
They sang old songs driving south a few miles from the seacoast. They paused to have finger-sized tacos and cold bottles of Moctezuma in towns that seemed too small to have a name. What do they call this place? If they call it anything other than this place, it would be too much. Kojo was delighted to discover a sense of humor in Akosua he hadn't been exposed to before. It was dry and sharp, but not acidic. It's too bad more of our people don't travel to Mexico where we travel. They might not miss the concrete slave ships as much as they think. Akosua admired Kojo's way of coping. There was always a positive spin happening. We're stranded in the middle of nowhere, no problem. Help will be arriving soon. The car won't start. It must be hungry for affection. My dad has always preached that nothing is a real problem if your mindset can find the proper frequency. What's our destination, or do we have one? Interesting that you should ask that. I wanted to surprise you by just coming to a dead drop in the town called Huatabampo. Huatabampo sounds like a beautiful destination. Huatabampo, population a few thousand, Toltec and Spanish spoken. They drove slowly through the downtown area, circled the miniature plaza and 2 of the town's 10 policemen who smiled and waved at them going the wrong way on a one-way street.
Oh.
The Huatabampo Hotel on the curved beach curved gently for 2 miles. It was mid-morning when they arrived, and there was no sign of a desk clerk to register them. Kojo signed them in, took the key for number 6, and they unloaded. Eventually, someone would show up to collect our money. You could count on it. They quickly changed into shorts and t-shirts and strolled along the beach. The water that lapped at their ankles was warm as blood and filled with shrimps, porpoises, and Portuguese men of war, large and small manta rays, and millions of brilliantly colored fish. They sat in the low-tide shallows, gazing out onto a horizon that was so blue it looked like a painting. Akosua, I want you to help me put together a script. I thought you'd never ask. It was the beginning of a creative surge. They both felt it. I don't want it to interfere with your work. It won't. And I think the dividend will be well worth the effort. Good. Here's what I have in mind. I'm calling it a silent film, but it won't be silent in the old-fashioned way. The tentative title is My Grandfather's Eyes. I like that. You've spoken about it. I haven't worked the complete story in my head yet, but I know what some of the elements will be. I want African-American satire, the stuff we hear in some of the old-fashioned blues singers, a serious realism, our story, not his story, edutainment, a cross-section look at what we're about, what we've accomplished. I want to peel back some layers. I want to peel back some layers and take a look at some stuff that hasn't been considered before. When I say it won't be a silent film in the old-fashioned sense of the word, that doesn't mean we won't be using subtitles, transitional music, stuff like that. The problem I'm concerned about is what kind of main story and sub-stories will be strong enough to hold the piece together. I can see the problem. Let me think on it. Camarones, camarones, camarones. The sight and sound of the little gray-haired man with a huge sack draped across his back startled him. Wow, where did he come from? Hey, this is Mexico, lady. Wherever there's a customer, you'll find somebody selling something. They bought a pound of the finger-sized shrimp for $2. The vendor explained that they would go well with cervezas frías. ¿Qué es cervezas frías?
Cold beer. Thank you.
Look at that. Look at that.
All right. Thank
Cool, he's right. I'm going to run into town for a minute to pick up some beer and a few other items. Want anything else? Sounds like we're going to need some notepads and a few more ballpoints. Be back in a bit. She watched him jog away, feeling suddenly lonely on this gorgeous foreign beach. We haven't been out of each other's sight in days. Maybe he felt the urge to be alone for a little while. She strolled, nibbled on a few shrimp, and thought about the proposed script. My grandfather's eyes. Yeah, I can get into that. We can take a serious look at perspectives that most African American movies have ignored. Even now, whenever there are older African Americans in movies, they're either treated like antiques or off-brand jokes.
Good point.
I can see ways to bring in the African American woman's point of view. Well, one of them anyway. He talks about the silent film era and how it demonized black men. We weren't even thought about that back then. After an hour of serious thinking and digging her toes into the warm sand, she strolled back to number 6. Mr. and Mrs. Ferdinand Chavez and their 6 stair-step children greeted them as she walked into the cozy little lobby of the Huatabampo Hotel. Welcome, Senora. Welcome. We were not here to greet you and your husband. We were attending a birthday party for my sister in town. Please, whatever you decide, please call upon us. This is my wife, Anna, my son, Juan, my son, Felipe, my daughter, Carlota, my daughter, Juanita, my son, Jose, and my latest daughter, Carmen. My name is Ferdinand Chavez. I'm going to stop here for the moment. And always leave them wanting a little bit. And when we get back to this, it'll probably be in the morning when the sun comes up.
Okay. Have you finished chapter 7?
Have I finished?
Finished chapter 7. Or are there just a few more pages? Are there a few more pages?
I stopped in the middle of it, but nobody knows that but me and you.
Okay.
Because they can't see.
Because there's something coming up, I think, when he goes to town.
Okay.
Oh, you know the story?
I read the book.
Ah!
But
Well,
it's
don't
nice
tell
having,
anybody else
it's
what
nice
happened, because
having
they
something.
won't know it until I get to it.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
it's nice
No,
having read to.
He does. He goes into town, and some things develop from that point.
Yes.
But
He runs into a drug lord or something.
No spoilers.
I don't know what.
And the drug lord picks him up. And he's hostage.
Oh, that's an interesting.
That's just.
Well, Tanya, what makes you think of that?
Because he's in Mexico.
Okay, hey, the cartel is strong. But you know what's interesting? Years ago, that would not even have been anything you think about. You know, the Jalisco cartel and this cartel. You could run around anywhere. But that's an interesting point. This happened before the cartel came into power.
Oh, okay.
But that would be an interesting little thing. Yeah. If I were doing the story in the latter day times, that would be an interesting plot twist that he does get caught up in something like that.
Or have to talk his way out of it.
Have to talk his way out of it. Yeah. What would you say?
I don't know. Maybe he would just talk the man in a circle to where the man was like, just go.
Why don't you invite them to the table?
More likely.
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right, okay.
You know what? Make a long story short, I had that happen in Mexico City one night. I got stranded outside of Mexico City. You
I'm still filming.
go to a little town called Xochimilco outside of Mexico City. Anyway, I went into a club and there was a guy who was a big time dope peddler. He was Lebanese, Syrian or something, of Mexican descent.
Okay.
Victor Hamiu Hainani. We sat there and talked. He said, hey, you want to make some money? Yeah, everybody wants to make some money. He said, I give you $20,000. $20,000, 1952 or something, 58. This is all part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It has a lot to do with the story, but maybe nothing to do with the story.
Okay.
Anyway, it's our time. We can do whatever we want to do.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Okay. You're so crazy.
So what did Victor do?
He wanted me to take some drugs over into the United States. It's cocaine. Cocaine, $20,000. You know, $20,000, $1958. And
That's like 50,000.
something like that. Yeah. I turned it down because I was deathly afraid that they used to do things like you take it over, he gives you the money, his friend hold you up, take the money back, you deliver the drugs, and you know it's just anyway.
And you're a black man coming back into America.
You dig
All
it?
kinds of problems.
I refuse.
In the 50s. Right.
With all of these story points going around and around, I think this is a beautiful, perfect time to end it. I thank you, Russell and Tanya, for your participation, and my directors and patiently telling me to get back with business.
Yeah.
So the business will be back tomorrow at some point in time.
Fairly well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Cool, that's right. Okay, here we are back again. This time with a little bit more of a serious attitude.
Our guests have left.
Well, Russell and Tanya had to take a flight back and leave us, but it was fun having them here.
Most
In any case, the story continues. Kojo and Akosua in Mexico. They're staying at the Huatabampo Hotel. I guess that's right on the outskirts of Huatabampo, near the ocean, near the Gulf of Mexico. They've been introduced to their landlords, the people who own the hotel, and they've introduced the owners have welcomed them. Welcome, senora, welcome. We were not here to greet you and your husband, We were attending a birthday party for my sister in town. Please, whatever you desire, please call upon me. This is my wife Anna, my son Juan, my son Felipe, my daughter Carlota, my daughter Juanita, my son Jose, and my latest daughter Carmen. My name is Ferdinand Chavez. She liked him. The wife was a Mexican, rural, shy woman. The man was macho, proud of himself, and the children resembled brown-eyed cherubs. They stared into her mouth as though she had released a stream of gold when she greeted them in Spanish. The gringa speaks our language? And your husband, he also speaks Spanish? Only when necessary. Kojo returned an hour later, a six-pack of Pacifico beer in hand, looking amused and distracted. Akosua introduced him to the Chavez family. The amenities over, everyone melted into their own niches. The children went up and down the beach capturing crabs and doing the simple things that children do. Papa Ferdinand dozed away in a hammock, and Mama Chavez assembled a collection of spices that drifted through the small hotel like a seductive perfume. The beer was cold and the shrimps were warm and crunchy, a perfect first course. I don't know what the sister's cooking, but I think I'm gonna eat a lot of it. They sprawled in the deck chairs on the veranda of the hotel, the sole tenants, notepads at the ready, enjoying the lust vibes of the afternoon. What took you so long, Kojo? I thought they had deported you or something. She detected an elfin, mischievous smile, actually a gleam in his eyes. Just trying to find the coldest beer in town, that's all. An hour later, the youngest Chavez came to tug gently at Akosua's hand, whispering, "Ahora, la comida, ahora."
Come now to eat. Okay.
I think she's telling me the dinner is ready. They raced to their room for a change of t-shirts. As good as it smells, it's got to deserve a change of t-shirts. The 5-table-sized dining room on the enclosed patio was open to them. Papa Ferdinand wished them buen provecho on his way to the beach with a long bamboo fishing pole. And as soon as they were seated, Mama Chavez marched in with a beautifully painted clay pot brimming with seafood. "What is it called, Senora?" Akosua asked. "It is called sopa de Huatabampito. Steak, firm cutlets of red snapper, paper-thin slices of squid, chunks of turtle meat, stewed tomatoes, olives, onions, shrimps, small corn tortillas, and chilled bottles of Pacifico.
What a...
Kojo. You ever tasted anything that's good in your whole life? Only one thing, he replied, deadpan. The soup was served in soup bowls, and the small tortillas were replaced as soon as the stack was decimated. They sipped the cold beer washing down the stew soup and bit chunks from their tortillas. Mama Chavez peeked into the patio dining room from time to time to make certain that they were enjoying her food. She was not disappointed. 45 minutes later, they surrendered to drum-tight bellies and sat smiling at each other, satiated. Akos, how do you say, that was a hell of a meal? Gracias, señora, un buen provecho. Gracias, señora Chavez, un buen provecho. The Chavez children cleared their bowl from the table as they waddled out of the patio. Kojo, let's take a little walk. Good idea. The skylights at twilight were rainbowing a collage of purples, blood reds, oranges, blues, and amber. They strolled on the beach, their arms linked around each other's arms, waists. I want to get some of this in our first film, this this sense of the romantic that we're never given credit for having. It's always about hump, thump, sex next to us, with us, according to the usual suspects. You're right. I'd love to see this kind of film in an African-American film. You're right. I'd love to see this kind of scene in an African-American film. They passed Ferdinand Chavez casting his line far out into the waves. He held up 2 large red snappers for them to admire. Buen provecho! Kojo called out to him. Papa Chavez smiled. A soft blooming night, the gentle lapping of the Gulf Coast water against the beach followed them back into their sanctuary. The lamps in their room were dim but serviceable. How about the ending of the film? How do you see that? I see the ending as the beginning. They were beginning to work out intellectual shorthand, the result of imaginative minds in sync. Kojo was going to supply the bulk of the substance, and Akosua was going to add to that, as well as helping to create the form. They exchanged ideas and made future plans before drifting into dreamless sleeps. The beginning of chapter 8 starts like this.
Oh, please read.
Of course, wake up. What? What's wrong? It's almost 9 o'clock. She gave him a curious look and snuggled back under the sheet. What's this man? Doesn't he know we're on a vacation? Kojo shook her gently by the shoulder and kissed her in her right eye. Akosua, sweetheart, please wake up. I need your help with something. She responded just as he knew she would. What is it, baby? Come on, I can tell you on the way to town. A puzzled frown furrowed her forehead, watching him dash into the shower. What's going on here? She popped into the shower just as he was toweling off, a half-dozen questions on the tip of her tongue. Akosua, don't worry, I'll answer all of your questions. Just hurry up, please. That's the beginning of chapter 8.
Oh, not gonna end it like that.
Oh yes.
All right.
Because it's necessary. But trust me, it'll continue tomorrow, chapter 8.
Okay. And one other thing we should mention before you close out is that there's Seventh Son Productions of Otis Sanders. That he had that Otis's book, Otis's video of you on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. And so people can look into Seventh Son Productions and see a video about Odie talking about Odie. And in the meantime, and in between time, the current matter is the Snake Doctor.
The Snake Doctor.
Okay, which can be purchased at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or
go to your neighbor and borrow a copy.
Author House. Also, your local bookstore. I just go in and say I want a copy of The Snake Doctor by Odie Hawkins, and the website is www.odiehawkins.com.
Bravo.
And we shall see you again for reading of chapter 8 and 9, I hope.
We're going to get into chapter 8 and straight through into chapter 9, because remember, 9 is the lucky number.
Ashe.
Salud.
Tutabang.